Buckle up, excellence junkies, because this podcast is definitely for you. Welcome to Rocket Fuel. Do you wish that you could surround yourself with people that love to kick ass just like you? Well, come to my party, baby, and meet some of the brightest stars in the entrepreneurial galaxy, because it is my mission to give these entrepreneurs a platform to declare what they are on this planet to accomplish and to show you why they are rocket fuel. And we're live. Hey guys, we just came off of recording this amazing episode with an expert that helps us stop cringing when we think about having to collect unpaid invoices, right? As business owners, it's so frustrating. Like when we work really, really hard to deliver good products, good services, and then there's the discomfort of dealing with the money that hasn't been paid to us yet. And so dear Dee Bowden, the author of Collect the Cash, she is an expert, a revenue recovery specialist. Which I was like, "Ooh, that's sexy." And so tell us, in this longer episode, we talked a little bit about why this was something of like deep interest for you, because you actually serve small businesses, large businesses that have this challenge. So can you tell us the story of like how you got involved in this?
Sure thing, Wanda. So let me do a course correction for an accident. My last name is Dee Bowden. So
Bowden. Oh yeah, geez,
it's all right. I know. If you're up north,
Bowden.
It's Bowden. If you're down south, it's Bowden. But I'm north, so it's Bowden. So anyway,
Bowden.
that's it. So anyway, so to answer your question, first of all, thanks again for the opportunity. So how this happened was this. About 15 years ago, I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm originally from. You know how it is when you get hired for the company. They tell you, welcome aboard. Here's your cubicle. And I like to say, here's your box and here's your plant. I sat down and they said, listen, we have a problem. Okay, what's the problem? We have $8 million in outstanding invoices that we have not been able to collect. I thought they was kidding. I for real. When I tell this story, people are like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm very serious. Like, I really thought they were kidding. They're like, no, we really have $8 million and we can't collect it. And your resume says you can collect, so we need you to do what you do. So,
woo! All right. So you're like,
I'm like, yeah, let me do this. All right. So I'm a believer. I went to God. We had a short conversation. And when I left my time with God, what came up for me was that business to business collections, which is what I was in, is three things. It's problem solving. What had happened was why do you all have $8 million? That's what had happened was question. Number two, I worked for the company who had clients and customers. We have to do customer service. I have to figure out, the why behind the what. And then I discovered that gratitude was a game changer. And people are like, why gratitude? I said, well, it's to me, it's really simple. When somebody helps you figure out something, when you go back and just take a moment and say thank you, it doesn't necessarily always have to be business. When somebody helps you do something, I was taught when you say please and thank you, those are just the things you do. And gratitude, because of me working with government agencies, corporations, CFOs, medium-sized business, small businesses, when I just stopped and just said thank you, and here's Wanda, you know what? Here was one of the things. One of the people said, Dee, people never come back for the people who have to cut the checks who were in accounts payable. They said to me, Dee, people never come back and tell us thank you. And I was like, really? And she said, no, they don't. People get there. Once they finish fussing us out, because we have, and here's the thing, we're processing the checks. We don't write the checks. We're getting it done for you. But they said, but when you came back and said thank you for helping your company get paid. Yeah. And I learned that lesson a long time ago, and I decided that was going to be one of the three things that I was going to teach business owners, that this matters. And just like when you get the sale, you know what? It's really no different than this. Here's a better example. During the holiday season, most of you, if you have customers, they send you holiday cards. And what do they say? Thank you for being our customer. We look forward to serving you in the following year. We wish you happy holidays. What are they doing? Customer service. What are they doing? They're saying gratitude to you for doing business with them. Well, yeah, it's that same principle, here.
Yeah, and I think it was really, really interesting when you talked about, because I definitely didn't expect gratitude to be, part of that receivables or basically getting paid, process, especially when it's been delayed, right? And in the longer episode, I really recommend that you guys listen to it if you're a business owner, you're making good money, you suspect you have unpaid invoices, or you suspect that this is an issue, because it is. Like, stuff just happens, like a credit card expiration dates change and this and that. It doesn't necessarily mean that people are actually stooping you, right? But what happens is, we, especially as small business owners, and if you're so highly dependent on that revenue, like, it creates anxiety, and then that anxiety can really cause you to really communicate very poorly around that. And we totally get into that in the longer episode. But tell us, so what happened with this company? So you go in, you went, you apply like the 3 principles,
So
and
I
you're
get in,
raining cash.
So I get in, I talk to God, I get my three tips, I sit down, I collect $6 million, and that was in 60 days. But I also learned those 3 principles: problem solving, customer service, gratitude, while I was working to collect the $6 million. So one customer literally had, talking about invoicing. So one customer said, "Hey D," when I made my phone call to start the whole conversation, they said, "Hey D, we changed our billing system. So it'd be like if you use Microsoft Excel and you switch over to QuickBooks. So you've got everything in Excel, and your customer says, no, we don't use Excel anymore. We want you to use QuickBooks. Well, back in the day, it was something else. Anyway, they said, listen, we changed our billing system. We sent a notice to your company and told them you have to reformat all the invoices. And when you reformat them and resubmit them, we'll pay you. So when I talk about problem solving, part of the problem solving was getting on the phone and finding out what had happened was. That part. So of the $6 million, $2 million was one phone call asking one question, and then reformatting the invoices, and $2 million came in the next week.
Holy cannoli.
True story.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that's fantastic. So you saved that business.
No, that business went out of business. But here's the thing: that business went out of business, but not because of something that I did. No, this was a small business. The CEO made an executive decision. First of all, the CEO called all of us downstairs and said, listen, I want to thank everybody for all your services. So that's sales, contracts, order entry, order fulfillment, payables, and receivables, collections. Me, my team. Everybody comes downstairs. We're all thinking, oh my gosh, we're about to get bonuses. We done collected all this money. No. Says, listen, we want to thank you for your services. Appreciate everything you've done. Made an executive decision. We're closing the company. You got 30 minutes to go pack up that same box and plant you rolled up in here with and leave the building. 2 months before Christmas, 100 people, including me, pack up their box, leave the building, and this company is dissolved. They're closed. They're gone. It
was too late. Well, and what's interesting is that we don't know if they were up to date on that 8 million, if they still would have made that decision,
right?
But chances are that it was definitely an accelerator in them thinking about what to do when there were 8 million owed, right? And it was clearly must have been showing, on the revenue and on the profit side. And so I think what's really important about that story really hit me hard, but it hit you hard because you were like, whoa, this should not happen to companies. And I know that the way you currently serve companies, you wrote a book called Collect the Cash. And so I do I recommend for people to go to collectthecash.biz. You could check out everything that Dee does to support small, medium, large businesses in this whole revenue recovery world, right? You could grab the book at a minimum, right? Just to start really understanding this. But also for our audience, you put together this really great reference piece. And everybody knows, if you're a Rocketeer and you listen to Rocket Fuel, you know that every single episode has a catchword. But that's because I want you to do something as a result of being inspired and understanding, like, oh crap, this is a problem. This is something that I need to address, right? So if you are that right person, that right business that needs this, I recommend that you text RF for Rocket Fuel, RF-collect to 411321. If you're in the United States, that's RF-collect, all one word, to 411321. That's the phone number, technically, right? And you're going to receive this great guide that Dee put together. It's called What Had Happened Was, which I loved. I was like, oh boy. But it's literally, she digs deeper into these three key principles that have enabled her to help organizations collect these unpaid invoices, but still maintain really strong customer relationships, because that's commonly a driver as to why people kind of don't want to like go there and ruffle up the feathers, right? Is because they don't want to mess up relationships. Maybe it's going to be like a bad review. Maybe they're going to tell other people, right? For those of you listening internationally, I don't forget you, right? Because you can always text the +1 909 741 1321, and the message is RF-collect, right? Yes. In both of those cases, if you provide your email, if we ask you for your email address, please provide your email address, because that's how you're going to get this piece instantaneously, right? If we don't, that means you've texted a catchword before, yay you, and we have you in the system, so you should be checking your inbox like right now, because it is there, right? So thank you so much, Dee,
You're
for
welcome.
putting together that resource. I think what's also great is you actually put a calendar link in there. So when people go through this PDF, it actually invites you to go through the exercise of looking at an invoice and using these principles that Dee teaches, and seeing how it went. And she gives you access to her calendar to book some time, talk to her about it, and talk to her about how you could systematize this, right? Because that's the thing. It's like, it's one thing if like one person is really good at it, but you want to make sure that like whoever is picking up that phone and asking is really considerate of all these things. And I'm telling you, being on the receiving end, right, of somebody saying, hey, you didn't pay my bill. It's like, oh crap, I moved, or my credit card, expiration date changed, or all these little things. Like, nobody wants to deal with somebody that's crabby or mean, right?
No, not at all. And that's the thing, Wanda. I mean, I think that's an important thing in terms of, just taking a breath, because sometimes, you can, I'll say it this way. Everybody needs grace.
Yeah.
Everybody needs grace. Even the most successful, super experts, they can make mistakes too. And I think people need to understand that. Number two, I'm old school. I really do believe in having a conversation. I mean, I know, as I call them, the kids, they love 144 characters, but I'm old school. You can't solve everything with 144 characters.
No, phone call. Yeah.
And if you make a data entry error, even when you're texting, you send a text and you make a mistake and somebody types back and go, what? Or they add some other letters to it. You're like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I meant this. But even that, when we talk about communication is part of this. And you mentioned it earlier about the relationships. Even when you're selling your product or your service, you have to build a relationship, because you have to convince the people that what your solution is the best thing, and why you are the best person to do this.
Yeah.
You got to deliver it, whatever that it is, and then you have to bill for it, and then you have to get paid. And when you don't get paid, you have to do what I call it problem solving, which is basically detective work. What happened?
Yeah.
You're reverse engineering. You're
wait. Listen to the longer episode. You got to listen to the longer episode, because she gets all into it, and it's really great stuff. So I want to thank you, Dee. I want to make sure that I encourage people to listen to that longer episode. It's totally worth it. Sit down with it, and it could completely change your business. Obviously, don't let it go with $8 million of unpaid invoices.
No,
I wish I was in a situation where, but every bit of it counts. And I think that how you handle it is very important. And Dee, you are clearly rocket fuel when it comes to helping people with recovering their revenue. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a rockin' day and listen to that longer episode. Bye now. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, every one of our episodes is boosted by a value-packed keyword called a catchword. Yeah. This allows our audiences to text to receive even more value from our guests. So take advantage of that great value. And if you share your expertise by guesting on podcasts or TV or speaking in front of live or digital audiences, then you're leaving anonymous fans behind. So go get a catchword at catchwords.com, KETCH words.com, and use podcast20 as a promo code for 20% off your setup fee. Look, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Rocket Fuel podcast so you never miss your jolt of rocket fuel. Until next time, adios.